Can NATO form a new group, invite the Ukraine to join and dump the USA? Any countries are free to make any treaties they want. Subtracting the world's preeminent military power to add Ukraine seems like not a great trade. This question is basically asking why don't all the NATO countries go to war with Russia, but without the US? There is nothing stopping any NATO country or group of NATO countries from sending troops to help Ukraine. They are also free to enter into an alliance with Ukraine, even one that is effective immediately. It is just that doing so is effectively declaring war on Russia and would not trigger NATO protection, so the other NATO countries are not obligated to help if and when Russia retaliates. A lot of Redditors, or at least the vocal ones, don't seem to understand that having Ukraine join NATO, or sending non-Ukrainian soldiers to fight against Russia means expanding the war. We can spend all day posting about how noble it is to help Ukraine, but that will provide little comfort when Russian missiles start landing in Warsaw. Yeah, but why? Sure, but that would be dumb as hell. The US is the largest military power on the planet. NATO is not kicking the US out, because that makes them vulnerable. The US annually spends more money on their military than the next 9 countries combined. There is no reality where the US will be kicked out of any kind of organization like NATO. NATO without the US is like trying to drive a car without an engine. No new group needed. They could simply kick the US out and call it done. The big question to ask is, how do they keep it up without the US bankrolling it? USA contributes half of NATO military spending. Not to mention USA has the best military in the world. Since USA spends a lot on military, Europe has other welfares, so while it can be done, it will just be a weaker group that won't deter Russia as much as NATO does. Pretty dumb to do so, since the USA is one of our strongest alliances. They can, but they won't. The US is 99% of the muscle behind that alliance. These countries need the US way more than the US needs them. I don't think most people realize just how powerful the US is. Its navy is more powerful than practically the rest of the world combined. NATO, after end of Cold War, become a club of countries who delegated their security to US. Most of European countries don't have full set or close to full set of military capabilities. There are some exceptions, of course, but even those who does really on assets provided only by US and Western world like 5th-gen jets, military cargo planes, GPS, and many more. Nuclear deterrent. US was very consistent in denying its friends nuclear weapons development and means of delivery. NATO would never trade USA for Ukraine. What kind of trade is that? Bogus? Swap out the greatest military power the world has ever seen for a country that only still exists because of the assistance from said military power. NATO stands for needs America to operate. Yes, they could, but they won't. NATO is beholden to the US and is useless without it. US pays way more than anybody, percentage or not, it isn't even close. And the military might of the US is way stronger than the totality of NATO. Countries are free to do as they choose, however, this would be idiotic. All other members of NATO mooch off the military might of the USA. USA being in NATO is the only reason countries want to be in NATO. Probably, but any alliance without the USA is a paper tiger. Who would fund and supply 99% of their defense? Brain dead Reddit take.